Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
Television looked at a completely serious idea and said, yes, a talking horse will work. From 1961 to 1966, Mr. Ed aired on CBS, following Wilbur Post, played by Alan Young, and his Palomino horse, Mr. Ed, performed by Bamboo Harvester and voiced by Alan Rocky Lane, who could talk, but only to Wilbur. The neighbors thought Wilbur was going crazy. The horse thought Wilbur was the real problem. Based loosely on a 1940 short story, Mr. Ed turned a quiet suburban barn into a sitcom battlefield, mixing everyday home comedy with strange logic and a horse who had better timing than many humans in Hollywood. It sounded like a simple gimmick. It looked silly on the surface, and yet it ran for 6 seasons, won a Golden Globe Award, and became one of the strangest success stories in TV history. Today, we're counting down 15 weird facts about Mr. Ed. Now, before we jump in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. It helps us keep digging up the weird things that you guys seem to enjoy. So, let's see what's happening around the farm with Mr. Ed. Number 1. Mr. Ed was played by a very skilled show horse named Bamboo Harvester. His real name was Bamboo Harvester, and he didn't really audition for the role of Mr. Ed as much as he calmly accepted the part, even though it was a role that was probably beneath his level.
Hey, wait. I'm not through yet.
You know I like to read it with my coffee.
Well, I like to read it with my hay.
Well, I'm sorry.
Before Hollywood came calling, this Palomino horse was already winning many championships at Madison Square Garden and walking proudly through the Pasadena Rose Parade like he owned the whole route. Born in 1949, he was a mix of American saddlebred and Arabian bloodlines, which are both breeds that are almost perfectly made for showing off.
You call, Saeed?
Never mind that. What's with the dark glasses and the pith helmet?
I'm joining the Peace Corps.
His father was literally named the Harvester, which sounds less like the name of a horse and more like someone who collects debts in a Clint Eastwood movie. His trainer, Les Hilton, was a student of Will Rogers, so even the man teaching him tricks had old Hollywood experience connected to him. He played Mr. Ed from 1961 to 1966, and the production never once sent him away in the middle of a season. Number 2. The peanut butter story was completely false. For many years, the official explanation of how Mr. Ed talked was very simple: peanut butter. People said you just put some inside the horse's mouth, watch him try to lick it out, and suddenly he could talk. But that was completely made up. Alan Young later admitted that he had invented the whole story. He didn't do it for publicity or ratings. He was just tired of explaining the real method to children who wanted a fun answer instead of a technical one.
When you were a kid, did you ever get peanut butter stuck under your lip? Oh, that's how it's done. So I never really lied. I just asked him a question. But that wasn't true at all.
Peanut butter sounded fun and harmless, and it let everyone just go on with their day. Now here's the part that makes the story even sillier. Peanut butter would have actually been dangerous. Animal experts later said it could have caused choking or stomach problems. Putting it inside a valuable show horse's mouth between takes would have been very unsafe. But the myth lasted much longer than the real story. So how did the producers really get Mr. Ed to talk? Well, we'll explain that in a little while. Number 3. Mr. Ed was basically like a Studebaker commercial that could talk back. Wilbur Post drove a Studebaker in almost every episode. This wasn't just a creative decision. It was required by a contract with Chrome Trim. Mr. Ed was sponsored by Studebaker. And when I say sponsored, that really means it played a very big role in the show.
You have to drive the lark to believe it. See your Studebaker dealer tomorrow and take a demonstration drive.
Tell him we sent you.
The car company did much more than just pay for commercials. They funded the whole show. After the pilot didn't get picked up by a network, Studebaker stepped in and put the show directly into syndication on more than 100 stations across the country. CBS only agreed to air it after people showed they would watch a horse talk about his feelings every week. Studebaker got back 10 times what they invested. Wilbur drove a parade of their cars, the Larks, the Wagoneers, anything that needed to be shown that season. The wagon's sliding roof became a favorite, mostly because it let them take promo shots of Mr. Ed standing in the back like he was supervising a delivery. Then 1966 came.
Studebaker stopped making cars, and suddenly the show's whole style looked 40 years old overnight. Almost every episode now showed a man proudly driving a car from a company that didn't exist anymore. The built-in advertising deal went from clever to a museum piece in just a few months. Mr. Ed ended that same year. Coincidence? Maybe. But when your main sponsor disappears, it usually changes the whole plan.
Number 4. There were actually 2 Mr. Eds, and one of them needed makeup. Bamboo Harvester was the main star, but even stars need a day off. That's when Pumpkin came in. Pumpkin was a quarter horse used as a stunt double, and he looked so much like Bamboo Harvester that the crew thought they could switch them anytime the schedule required it. But there was one small problem. Pumpkin had a gold-colored spot in his white face markings. It was easy to notice if you knew where to look. The solution was to put some white makeup on the horse and hope no one saw it. Since the show was filmed in black and white, it worked perfectly. Somewhere, a makeup artist added equine cosmetics to their resume and went on with life. Pumpkin became the PR horse, easier to handle, happy to pose for photos, and excited to make appearances. Bamboo Harvester preferred to save his energy for filming. Diva behavior, but he had earned it.
Number 5. The theme song was a complete accident.
A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course.
The Mr. Ed theme song was written by Jay Livingston, the same person who co-wrote. But the version stuck in your brain wasn't meant to be the final one. Livingston recorded his singing as a demo, just a placeholder to show the producers how a professional singer might perform it. Instead, they liked his simple, friendly style so much that they decided to keep it.
That is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Ed.
The demo became the theme, a rough draft that accidentally became permanent. It was catchy, cheerful, and completely honest about its silly idea.
Go right to the source and ask the horse. He'll give you the answer that you endorse.
A horse is a horse, of course. And somehow that made sense for 6 seasons. Then the 1980s came. During the Satanic Panic, a religious group in Ohio claimed the wholesome theme song was hiding something evil. They said, play it backward and you would hear secret messages, like, someone sung this song for Satan, and this is real, the horse is the devil. The accusation was completely false, coming from the same paranoid thinking that made people worry rock albums and Saturday morning cartoons were secretly recruiting for the underworld. But the show's creators laughed at it, and the fans ignored it.
He's always on a steady course. Talk to Mr. Ed.
Number 6. Mr. Ed wouldn't have worked without his trainer. Bamboo Harvester had talent, awards, and a resume that could impress most of Hollywood. What he didn't have was patience for nonsense.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the noblest horse of all? You handsome devil, you.
The horse was very close to his trainer, Les Hilton, but that closeness came with rules. If Hilton wasn't nearby, Mr. Ed wouldn't work. Alan Young could say his lines with all the energy in the world, but it didn't matter. The horse would just stand there like a very expensive prop and do nothing. For Mr. Ed, if the signal didn't come from Hilton, it didn't count. So Hilton had to be there for every single shot, right off camera, giving hand signals and body cues like a conductor leading a very stubborn orchestra. When Mr. Ed got tired, bored, or decided the scene wasn't worth it, he would calmly walk off set back to his stable. Production stopped. Nobody chased him. They just waited until the star wanted to return. The relationship had a strange logic. Hilton acted as the strict authority, the only one Mr. Ed respected. Young was the gentle one. Whenever Hilton scolded the horse for missing a signal, Mr. Ed would reportedly trot straight to Young for comfort.
I believe my horse is entitled to one of those balloons.
Balloon?
He's only 8 years old.
Oh, well, no problem, sir. No problem. We always give our little four-legged friends balloons.
Like a kid running to the kind parent after getting a lecture, the humans memorized their scripts and stood in the right spots, but the horse, he decided the schedule.
Number 7. Mr. Ed was powered by sugar. Every star has someone taking care of them, and a list of things they need to stay happy on set. Bamboo Harvester kept it simple. He got sweetened drinks regularly, no questions asked.
The production assistants quickly learned that Mr. Ed liked sugar water. Sometimes it had molasses, sometimes it was sweet tea, depending on who told the story. Either way, the horse expected it every day, and nobody argued. Some people called it a treat, others called it a bribe. The crew probably thought of it as the cost of working with a four-legged diva. The drinks kept Bamboo Harvester calm, cooperative, and willing to do his scenes without wandering back to the stable in the middle of shooting. Because he had a habit of walking off set whenever he wanted, a little sugar was a small price for finishing the day's work. Add about 20 pounds of hay, and you had a star running on pure carbohydrates and confidence. Nutritionists would probably faint.
Hey, Wilbur, how do you like this trick?
Well, I didn't know you could balance a ball. That's very good. Take a bow, Ed.
The production schedule stayed on track, though.
Number 8. Mr. Ed won so many awards that he made human actors nervous. Between 1962 and 1965, he became a regular winner of the Patsy Award for several years in a row. This award honored the best animal performances in film and television, and Mr. Ed treated it like his own personal collection. That kind of winning streak put him in rare company. Animals like Lassie, Flipper, and Francis the talking mule had earned fame, but Bamboo Harvester walked right into the club and started rearranging the furniture. Remember, this horse already had championship ribbons from Madison Square Garden and parade honors that most performers would envy. The Patsy wins were just him adding a TV section to an already full trophy case. Then, in 1963, the show won the Golden Globe Award for Best Television Series, Comedy, or Musical. The award beat sitcoms with all-human casts and stories that didn't need anyone to ignore logic. The Hollywood Foreign Press decided that a show about a man arguing with his horse in a barn was the best comedy on TV.
My horse is chicken.
That's right.
Critics had been treating Mr. Ed like a novelty act, something cute for kids that adults tolerated while waiting for the news. That Golden Globe forced people to rethink things. The writing was sharper than anyone wanted to admit, and the chemistry between Alan Young and a Palomino horse outperformed most human duos on network television. Young later said that Bamboo Harvester was one of the finest actors he ever worked with, and he meant actors, not just animal actors. The horse understood timing, hit his marks, and delivered reaction moments like he had studied at Juilliard instead of living in a stable.
You are asleep.
Rock-a-bye, baby.
Cut that out.
Human actors spend whole careers hoping for one nomination. A Palomino horse from California quietly won multiple awards for about 5 years. Okay, we're halfway through this video. We need to take a quick break, but if you're enjoying this walk through television's strangest sitcom, hit the like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what's your favorite Mr. Ed moment? We promise to actually read them, unlike Wilbur's neighbors who never listened to a word he said. Alright, let's go back to the barn with
Number 9. Clint Eastwood got upstaged by a horse. Before Dirty Harry, before the spaghetti westerns, and before the Oscars, Clint Eastwood was outsmarted by a talking Palomino on a CBS sitcom. In Season 2, Episode 25, Clint Eastwood met Mr. Ed. Eastwood played himself.
How about this play that we're doing for charity?
Oh, he'll You know, horses who act this way are usually pretty smart. In fact, you should have seen Midnight at first. He's so well trained now, though, the studio insisted on buying him from me. Want to ship him off to Europe for a big picture.
At the time, he was starring in Rawhide, popular enough to get a guest spot, but still years away from becoming the Clint Eastwood the world would later know. The appearance wasn't random. Arthur Lubin, the producer of Mr. Ed, had given Eastwood his first film contract and cast him in Francis in the Navy, a movie about a talking mule. Eastwood owed his early career to a man who specialized in giving lines to animals. Years later, Eastwood told the New York Times that playing himself on the show taught him something. Playing yourself is the hardest thing a professional actor can do. Clint Eastwood had a real acting breakthrough thanks to a horse. Number 10. Mr. Ed retired quietly and left even more quietly. When Mr. Ed finished its final season in 1966, Bamboo Harvester did what most stars only talk about. He actually retired.
Oh, much longer, Wilbur.
No comeback tour, no guest appearances, no desperate attempt to stay relevant. He simply walked away from the camera and never looked back. He spent his remaining years on a ranch in California, living a calm, private life as far from a soundstage as possible. His trainer, Les Hilton, stayed close, still visiting and caring for the horse he had worked with for over a decade. That bond never broke. Hilton had been with him before the show started, and he wasn't going to disappear just because the credits stopped rolling. By the late 1960s, Bamboo Harvester was facing the realities of aging, arthritis, kidney problems, and the kind of slow decline that doesn't make headlines but changes everything. Then, in 1970, while Hilton was away, a temporary caregiver found the horse struggling to get up after rolling in his stall. Thinking a tranquilizer would help, the caregiver gave him a shot. Within hours, Bamboo Harvester had passed away. He was about 20 years old. The people closest to the show decided to say nothing. Children were still watching Mr. Ed reruns across the country, and announcing that their favorite talking horse had died seemed unnecessarily cruel, so they kept it quiet. Pumpkin stepped into the spotlight full-time, appearing in parades, photo shoots, and promotional events.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
As far as the public knew, Mr. Ed was alive and well and still had plenty of opinions about oats. Bamboo Harvester was cremated, and Hilton scattered his ashes in private. No fanfare, no headlines, just a trainer saying goodbye to the horse that made television history. Number 11. Fans spent decades visiting the wrong Mr. Ed. For years, devoted fans traveled to a grave in Oklahoma. Sure, they were honoring television's most famous talking horse. They took photos, left flowers, and even dedicated a granite monument in 1990, marking it as Mr. Ed's final resting place. There was just one problem. It was the wrong horse. The horse buried in Oklahoma was Pumpkin, the backup performer who handled public appearances after the show ended and kept the Mr. Ed illusion alive for nearly 10 years. When Pumpkin died in 1979, the media ran obituaries for Mr. Ed, complete with tributes and memorials, not realizing they were mourning the understudy. The story became accepted as fact, and no one corrected it. Meanwhile, the real Mr. Ed had been gone for 9 years, with no monument, no roadside attraction, and no pilgrimages. Historians eventually sorted out the confusion, but by then the Oklahoma grave had taken on a life of its own. Thousands of people visited, left tributes, and honored a horse they never actually saw on television. The memorial became less about facts and more about what Mr. Ed meant to people, which might be the most fitting legacy a talking horse could ever hope for.
Number 12. The first Mr. Ed pilot was a mess, and the horse was all wrong. The original pilot wasn't even called Mr. Ed. It was called The Wonderful World of Wilbur Pope. And yes, that tells you pretty much everything about how it went. Wilbur's last name was Pope, not Post.
Now, if we keep him, we'll have a real farm.
Oh, Wilbur, haven't we gone to enough expense buying this house without adding the cost of a horse?
A different actor played Wilbur, and the horse was a chestnut gelding known for being unruly and unpredictable. The tone of the show felt chaotic instead of charming, like the production couldn't decide if it was a comedy or a warning about owning livestock. Networks passed on it, and the project was basically dead. Then, trainer Les Hilton got a 1-month deadline to find a better horse or see the whole show disappear. He began searching around the San Fernando Valley and eventually found a Palomino named Bamboo Harvester who was living a quiet, trophy-filled life. Calm, smart, and ready for the camera. Everything the first horse was not. The production bought him for $1,500, about the price of a decent used car at the time. After that, everything came together. Wilbur's last name changed to Post. Alan Young took the role. The wisecracking tone finally worked, and the second pilot went into syndication, became popular with audiences, and eventually aired on CBS for 6 seasons from 1961 to 1966.
Number 13. The internet once claimed that Mr. Ed was a zebra. For years, a story went around saying that Mr. Ed wasn't really a horse. The myth said he was a zebra painted white because zebras were supposedly easier to film in black and white than real horses.
The story spread quickly, sounding confident and believable, but it was completely false. It turned out the whole thing was a planned hoax by Snopes. The fact-checking site ran a side project called the Repository of Lost Legends. If you spell out the acronym, it's TROLL. It was designed to see how easily false information could spread if it looked credible. Mr. Ed became the bait, and the internet fell for it completely.
Will you buy me contact lenses? If it's the money, I'm sure the SPCA will kick in half.
I told you to go to the barn.
The original article even hid a clue in plain sight. The first letter of every paragraph spelled out F-A-L-S-E, subtle. Apparently, it was too subtle for most people reading it. The Snopes team leader admitted the experiment worked even better than expected. People didn't just believe the zebra story, they shared it, cited it, and treated it like obscure Hollywood trivia worth repeating at parties. A 1960s sitcom about a talking horse accidentally became a warning about how easily people can be fooled on the internet, decades after it went off the air.
Number 14. The man behind Mr. Ed's voice didn't want anyone to know. Alan "Rocky" Lane spent his career playing tough guys in B-movie westerns, guns drawn, jaw clenched. Voicing a sarcastic barn horse was not part of his 5-year plan. Lane gave Mr. Ed his unmistakable voice.
And I didn't forget to smile for the newsreel camera, right, Wilbur?
Right. You were one big dimple from your head down to your tail.
Ah, that deep, gravelly, deadpan voice that made every wisecrack hit perfectly. He recorded his lines off camera, watching footage of Bamboo Harvester and timing every word to match the horse's mouth movements. The performance was careful, professional, and something he definitely didn't want his name on. He refused to take credit.
She sure makes a horse want to settle down.
Have you picked out a place for the honeymoon yet?
Nope, just a little stall by a waterfall.
Then one day the stork may drop a 100-pound bundle.
Yeah.
For years, the show didn't list any voice actor at all. When the credits rolled, viewers saw Mr. Ed as himself. The production used the mystery, letting audiences believe whatever they wanted about the talking horse. But as the show became a real hit, winning a Golden Globe, getting huge ratings, and becoming a cultural phenomenon, Lane thought again. Millions of people were hearing his voice every week, and his name wasn't on it. So he went to the producers and asked for credit. They said no.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
By that time, the mystery had become part of the show's charm. Kids really believed Mr. Ed could talk, so why ruin it? Lane stayed uncredited for the entire run, well paid, heard by millions, and forever hidden behind television's most famous horse. Number 15. Mr. Ed didn't talk, he performed. Forget the peanut butter story, forget the zebra myth. The real way Mr. Ed talked is stranger and much more impressive than anything the internet could make up. Early in production, trainer Les Hilton used a thin nylon thread looped under Bamboo Harvester's lip. A gentle tug made his mouth move, perfectly timed with the dialogue. This was standard animal training. Then the horse started showing off. As filming went on, Bamboo Harvester began learning the rhythm of conversation. He noticed when Alan Young stopped talking. He understood the pauses. Silence wasn't just empty space, it was his cue. Eventually, they didn't need the thread at all. When Young finished a line, the horse would respond. Crew members said that his talking scenes often finished in one take, which is almost unheard of with animals. He wasn't reacting to food or physical signals. He was responding to dialogue. Sometimes he even improvised, a yawn here, a surprise lip movement there. The writers loved it so much that they would sometimes add lines later to match what Bamboo Harvester naturally did.
Guess this one, Wilbur. I got a million of them. I got a million.
The performance wasn't being forced on the horse, it was built around him. Most animal actors hit their marks and waited for treats, but Bamboo Harvester hit the beats perfectly. And there you have it, 15 weird and wild facts about Mr. Ed. Which fact surprised you the most?
Drop it in the comments, and be sure to subscribe and share this with a friend who loves Mr. Ed. Until next time.